Just tell us a little bit about this group. Obviously, we know a lot about it, but what's the expectation level for this year?
Sure. Well, I guess we talked to our guys a bunch about what their expectations are for our defense and our team, and that should certainly reflect our work ethic and how we're operating every day in the meeting rooms and in the weight room and what we're doing on the football field. So I think that goes really individually with each guy and what they want to accomplish within the structure of our defense. So I think that changes with each guy and where they are as a player and what position they're playing within our defense, to be honest with you.
What's their continuity mean for them?
Sure. Well, geez, those guys have played a lot of downs together. We've played a lot of combination of guys within our group at linebacker together too. So I feel like we try to get that done in practice as well. So it's just not a game time scenario when they're on the field simultaneously. So we're trying to create a little bit of continuity within different groups across the framework of our position at linebacker as well.
Given the fact that, and I know this is looking ahead, that you guys are going to probably lose all three starting linebackers after this year, how important is it to play as many kids as you possibly can? Obviously.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thankfully, we've tried to do that in the last several years, Randy, to be honest with you, and really all the way back to when these guys were freshmen. To be honest, we were trying to incorporate that, within our structure at that point in time. Certainly to build depth, certainly to have what would be our best three at their best at the end of a game, and to have our best three at their best at the end of the season, as well as gaining a lot of experience for the guys that may not be starters at that point. Special teams has also helped our position collectively. There's a lot of special teams experience there, which is very valuable game time play as well. So I guess the good news is we've tried to do that along the way. I think we've done, as a defensive staff, and Coach Campbell's philosophy is to play as many guys as we can that are ready. I think we're, hopefully going to soften that blow a little bit at this time next year.
Who are some of the guys, we saw some of them last year, like Bond and all that can really fill in and give you those valuable reps while the other guys are staying fresh?
Sure, good question. Like you mentioned, Gary has played a large amount on special teams and has really played in every game for us at Mike linebacker along the way a year ago. So that's been really good for us. Eric Horn has been a tremendous special teams player for us, has made some big plays on Saturdays on the defensive side as well, and is having a really good camp right now. Deshawn Davis has had tremendous special teams reps for us, has played on Saturdays for us. Kendall Jackson has taken special teams reps for us. We'd like for a couple of these other guys along the way that have been in the program a year or maybe a year and a half to start to push the envelope on special teams as well, to help get their first experience on the field.
Maybe one of the only position groups you could even say has notable turnover is that defensive line in front of your guys. What does that mean for them, managing not the level of extreme everywhere else?
Geez, I would say the same for those guys, to be honest with you. As you look there, I know Coach Rashid has talked with you about his guys, but there's a ton of, maybe not however you want to say it, multiple game starters, but there's a lot of experience coming back there collectively. So those guys have played in time together and been on the field simultaneously. So I don't think there's a huge gap there, but naturally the same thing. You're trying to work different combinations of guys together collectively.
Going off of Rob's question, what's the challenge for those three guys, the backups you mentioned? What is it individually with each of those guys that's going to make them as good as your starting three right now? What are you challenging them?
Sure. Well, you challenge them, I think, in a lot of ways. One, to learn the entire defense, just not what they might be doing at the Sam or the Mike or the Will. You'd like for them to get to learn the entire defense, and then certainly to know what all three linebackers are doing within that, not just where they may be gaining the most valuable reps. And I think that's where, if you look specifically at Jake Hummel and Mike Rose, those guys have played multiple linebacker positions within games for us. So, we'd like to think who's the fourth best, who's the fifth best, who's the sixth best to gain experience during Saturdays.
Coach Haycock, I talked to him on Media Day. Kendall Jackson's name came up with him too. You brought him up again. What is it that he's showing you guys?
Yeah, well, Kendall played on special teams a year ago for us. He's a year older now, and hopefully, as we're a developmental program, he's a year stronger, a year smarter, and a year more experienced. But we naturally hope that with all of our guys at this point as well.
From your side of the ball, what changes have you seen in the offensive line from 2016 to now?
Yeah, I probably sound like a broken record, but I think a little bit of the same. There's a lot of experience there. Really, collectively, we're deeper. I think we've developed that unit very well, and I think that speaks to really what we've done, on both sides of the ball here, really at every position. We'd like to think that we've developed our guys at a steady rate, so, not just year after year, but week after week, they're improving.
We know the value, obviously, that Mike Rose, Hummel, Orion Vance have brought you on the field, but what are they like in the room? I mean, have they matured to the point where they're like junior coaches with you, and when you're talking about scheme and all these things, they're right there kind of at a pretty advanced level talking?
I think they've helped a great amount with all of the younger guys, and I don't mean just the first-year guys there when I say that. They've embraced the guys that are behind them. They cheer for those guys as loudly and as much as anybody, and they want the guys that are backing them up to do really well. So I think that obviously speaks to those three guys as humans and how they've operated here for us for sure, Rob. Yep.
Jake Hummel, I think we're going to talk to. I mean, is he a prototypical guy in terms of that? Start out, get going in special teams, build, and then he's a starter. Not only a starter, but can play multiple positions at once.
Yep, that's a great point by you. I think, and I think all of these guys that have played for us on Saturdays have come up maybe a different way through the program. And like you mentioned, Jake started out, week 2 of his freshman year on 4 special teams that week, and really, if guys can do that, that gets them into the depth at their position much more quickly as well, which that happened with Jake. So it really thrust him into, at that point, well, this guy's on 4 special teams. He's going to travel, so he's automatically on the depth at linebacker. So that helps guys to do that as well. Yep, for sure.
For someone like Cole Peterson, who played on special teams last year,
yeah.
maybe the next step in his own
Yeah. Well, one, he's got to get healthy for us right now, so hopefully he can do that. But he did gain great experience on special teams a year ago, which I think what helps probably with that more than anything is the speed and the physicality of the game on those plays. So then it's not such a big jump, man, that's moving faster, that's really physical. So, but for sure, hopefully we can get him back to where he can be healthy and he can get on the field for us right now, yeah.
And you guys also added 3 linebackers in terms of just true freshmen. What's been your kind of first impression of that group so far?
Yeah, working really hard. Yeah, working really hard trying to learn everything. I think based on being an older group, we're, those guys are being brought along at a different rate maybe than when our older group were first-year guys. So that's changed over the last 4 or 5 years with new guys coming in too. So, but I think they've got a bright future and they're doing a nice job for us.
What's the benefit then for those guys? Maybe they don't get the first-year experience. But what does that do for them to be able to kind of learn from some of the older guys?
Great question. I think they've got a great group in front of them to learn from as far as how do I carry myself every day, how do I go to class, how do I operate in the building, what are ways I can help other people when hopefully I'm in that position, what are my habits, how am I going into each day, what's my approach, what's my diet, how am I mean, all those things. Those 3 guys are great examples for all of our guys for sure.
Aiden Ralph, did he play a spring season out there?
He actually did, yeah.
He did. I was
Yep.
wondering about, so
Yeah.
how was that? I mean, I guess good thing, bad thing, he was able to have pretty much like a spring season.
He was, yeah. I think they played 4 or 5 games.
Okay.
They had a couple that they weren't able to play, but they didn't have a full schedule. So it probably was about right, to be honest with you. That probably could have gone the other way, but I think they played just enough where he was able to get some get some football in, and then had a little bit of a break before he came here.
How have you noticed that maybe benefit him, and how, the growth? I mean, like a lot of the freshmen that come in that time of the year might really be behind. But
yeah, it's probably not greatly noticeable just from the aspect of, they come in and have really 2 months of strength and conditioning and flexibility and all of those things prior to jumping on the field with a helmet and shoulder pads on anyway. So it's probably not a big sign. Yeah.